Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Piper Report. So I'm no fan of the GOP's healthcare bill, the one that passed the House and the one that passed the Senate. However, to make claims that by passing it, millions of people are going to die, millions of people are going to have their lives destroyed, and we're going to see more homeless people, is completely nonsensical. So when I see idiots like Chuck Schumer ranting about this type of behavior or this type of consequence that will happen if the GOP healthcare bill does get passed, it does get annoying because it's simply not true. Essentially, the healthcare bill that passed the House was Obamacare light in many regards. The only thing that was primarily different was that the states had the choice to opt out of insurance. They didn't have to follow the regulations and stipulations like they had to under Obamacare. The Senate's version is kind of similar to the House version. There are a few different aspects here. I'm going to be doing a video on it soon to kind of try to differentiate between the two, between the House that passed and the Senate version. But for now, let's just watch Chuck Schumer do what he does best. Placate those who are afraid that Trump is a dictator. Appease those who think Trump is going to bring the end of the world because of a healthcare bill or because of he opted out with the Paris Accord agreement, which is completely insane. It's insane. You can look at the statistics or look at the context of the Paris Accord, and you will see that only the U.S. was getting screwed from that agreement. China and India still had free reign to disperse as much carbon emissions as they wanted into the atmosphere. It would have cost the American taxpayers billions of dollars. And as you've seen probably from my videos on the economy, my 19 terrifying facts about the U.S. debt crisis, that is something that the U.S. cannot take lightly. We cannot simply keep spending all of this money overseas on these lower countries to help them out, at the same time completely ignore and be oblivious to the problems that we have in America. So by getting out of the Paris Agreement, that was actually the best thing we could have done for our country, to take care of our citizens first. There's nothing wrong with altruism. There's nothing wrong with being a humanitarian, of helping people on a lower class or helping refugees that are suffering. But you cannot do so at the expense of your own country, of your own citizens. That is key here. But Chuck Schumer, he doesn't like to think like that. He likes to think that the people outside of America are just as important to the American people as Americans themselves. And all there is, it's okay to feel for people that are suffering. It's okay to want to help them. It's human to want to help them. No one is questioning the humanity of these people that are suffering. No one is saying that they are worse than us. What they are saying is that our government has the responsibility to take care of ourselves, our citizens first, before we spend all our money and time on the poorer people outside this nation. So that is key here. But anyways, I kind of digress again. This is Chuck Schumer ranting about a new healthcare bill, but yet he was completely fine with Obamacare that did just as much damage as any type of healthcare bill that the GOP can pass.
The House bill already cuts from the program. And every senior in America should read the fine print of this bill. It looks like American seniors could be paying way more. Why do this? Looking at the bill, the answer is because the Republicans want to give a tax break to the wealthiest Americans, those making over $200,000 a year, and set themselves up to give these folks another, even larger tax cut in their tax bill. Even though much of the early reporting says the bill will keep certain protections for Americans with pre-existing conditions, the truth is, it may well not guarantee them the coverage they need.
The truth is, so where does he get that truth? What defines truth in this type of scenario? Does Chuck Schumer just know everything and that's why he's saying this? Because remember, we also heard the Office of Management and Budget give us some examples of what Obamacare would do, how great Obamacare would be. The prime one, I think the main focus of Obamacare was reducing the premiums by $2,500, or the deductibles, I think, $2,500. One of the two, I think premiums. And we've seen the complete opposite. we've seen the complete opposite. They actually went up over 150%. So when he says the truth is, where is he basing this off of? Is he getting it from the same information that he got that Obamacare would be a great savior for everyone in the country, or is he talking out of his ass?
Allowing states to waive essential health benefits. What the bill is saying to those Americans is, insurance still has to cover you, but it doesn't have to cover what you may actually need. It doesn't have to cover all or even most of your costs.
Let's be frank about something here. What is insurance? Should we define insurance first? What people are starting to believe healthcare is not actually insurance. It's government-run healthcare. There is no insurance. Insurance means you buy into a company, you give them money in the case of something bad happens to you, that they will take care of you. For instance, you buy flood insurance for your house just in case in the future your house gets flooded. If your house does get flooded, you then get your money. It's about taking risks. If you are allowed to buy health insurance when you already have a pre-existing condition, then it technically is not insurance, because you already know what you have. Insurance is about taking risks, about spending money into a system, and just in case something bad happens to you, you can receive your money back. There will be a currency remittance that you will receive. Again, no one has questioned the humanity of those with pre-existing conditions, but there are ways to still have health insurance for people that don't have pre-existing conditions, and at the same time work with those people who do, or people who do need help. You don't have to do government-run healthcare for everybody, so then people lose their type of healthcare, lose their doctors, and lose their quality of healthcare. There are other ways to go about this, but Schumer and Pelosi, they don't believe this.
If you need treatment for opioid addiction, your plan may no longer cover it. If you're pregnant and need maternity care, your plan may have decided that's too expensive. The coverage that Americans with pre-existing conditions actually need may well become either unaffordable or even non-existent under this bill. Simply put, this bill will result... not right now, at the end of my remarks. Simply put, this bill will result in higher costs, less care, and millions of Americans will lose their health insurance.
So this is synonymous with Obamacare then, because healthcare prices did go up, people did lose their doctors, and even though more people got on healthcare, the people that had a mandate that were forced to have healthcare are still being forced to pay their premiums. If you don't have healthcare, you have to get healthcare anyways. You might not need it. You could be the healthiest person in the world, but the government is mandating you, essentially putting a gun to your head and saying, you have to give me money for healthcare. So how is this any different, Mr. Schumer? How is that different than that? There are millions of people that have healthcare because they were forced to, but don't use it. So they are paying for healthcare they don't need. So they are getting screwed, aren't they? Or am I wrong here, Mr. Schumer?
Particularly through Medicaid. It's every bit as bad as the House bill. In some ways, it's even worse. The president said the Senate bill needed heart. The way this bill cuts health care is heartless. The president said the House bill was mean. The Senate bill may be meaner.
Alright, what he's doing now is basing the concept of emotions on a subjective scale. What is mean and what is heartless on a subjective scale? Who defines what is okay? For instance, it's okay to help someone who has pre-existing conditions, right? It's your moral obligation to help them because they are sick. But do you have the right to help them at the expense of screwing over somebody else? So say somebody else has a low-paying job, but they're really healthy, but yet they're forced to buy healthcare. And they're forced to pay money that they don't have just so other people who have problems can get help. Is that justifiable? Is it okay to help one person at the expense of another? And the answer is no. And that is why that healthcare is not a right. The right to have access to healthcare is. You can have access to healthcare. Anyone right now could go to the ER and they will get in to see a doctor. No hospital is going to push you away, despite what you hear on TV. They're not going to do that. There is a right to have access to the healthcare, but you never have the right to force labor from somebody else. Forced labor means somebody else has to do a job just to support somebody else's. Now, people can and people do choose to help others. There is possibility to do pools of insurance people insurers that want to get the coverage they want. But is it right to steal someone else's money or their forced labor and give it to somebody else? The answer is no. Again, I really want to stress this point because it's really imperative. Because if I don't, people think I'm a bigot. No one is denying the humanity of these people that are suffering. No one is saying they deserve to suffer. What people are saying is that there are others who are suffering because they are forced to help those others who are suffering. And that is not right. You should not have that right to mandate someone, to put their lives in jeopardy, to make their lives harder, just for the sake of helping somebody else.
The Senate Republican health care bill is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Only this wolf has even sharper teeth than the House bill. It's clear that Republicans know that cutting Medicaid will hurt so many people in the middle class, so many in my home state of New York. Republicans know that people want essential health benefits, so they've created a disguise by saying these changes won't occur for a year. But in reality, the Senate Republican bill is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Only this wolf has even sharper teeth than the House bill.
You know, it's important also to stress here that when they say they're cutting Medicaid, they really aren't cutting Medicaid. Because if you actually look at the projected growth in the future, Medicaid costs are still going up. They're reducing the amount of increasing Medicaid. But it's not like they're actually cutting Medicaid out. Medicaid and Medicare will still continue to grow. So when Chuck Schumer says that, it's pretty much just a stunt. He's just saying that to garner attention. It's not true, though. Medicare and Medicaid will continue to grow. But that was our lovely Chuck Schumer in a nutshell. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I'm done.